One. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining me for the inaugural show of World of Coaching Podcast. It's not necessarily the inaugural show, but it is the start of a really awesome podcast. Excuse the messy desk in the background. But if you're listening to the audio, don't worry about what I just said because you can't see it, but you can hear me. My name is Darrell, also known as Coach D. I'm super excited to bring you this show because, one, I've been a coach for probably the last 10 years, on and off for the last 10 years. But it's a space that I truly love. I've seen a lot of people grow from whether it's sports coaching or whether it was life coaching, personal development, professional development coaching, the whole nine. Now that I am a leader, I see a lot about leadership coaching and a lot about leaders who seek to be coached. But most importantly, one of the things that I find is that there's more people at the top that are seeking coaching, but not the people who are struggling to get to where they want to go, get to the next level, get to their goal, get to, being a graduate of college, get to being an individual that can say, hey, I've been successful, because oftentimes we are not aware, as much as we have come to agree with, especially some of the greats, aware of how many of them have coaches, how many of them have trainers, how many of them have people in their corner constantly supporting them being at their best. And it's vital that we understand why coaching is important. So I'm going to be bringing a lot of folks on the show. And the purpose of bringing them on the show is I want to relate to as many people as possible about the stories that they share, whether it's they played sports, whether they have grown in their career or they started a business, or whether they've been a business coach to help a ton of business owners get to the next level. Now, I'm not expecting that there's going to be a ton of people who understand the value of coaching at the very beginning. But what I will find is that there will be more people who will find that if I can't get with the greats who are doing the coaching and the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month to get coached by these greats, then there are other people who I can sit with that have not necessarily shown how great they have been in the world of being a celebrity or a professional athlete or a leader of a Fortune 100, 500, 2,000 company. It's more important that we find that there are best practices that everyday Americans, everyday civilians can put into place and put into practice with a coach or with a trainer that will get them to the next level. And my job here is to teach you all what that looks like, to show you all what that looks like, to teach you all how to gain your access to this, because it's everywhere, whether you believe it or not. I'll share some stories with you, my own personal stories of coaching, my own personal stories of being coached as well, because I would definitely not be the individual that you see here today without the coaches and mentors in my corner. And so you'll hear me say it interchangeably, that there are coaches and there are mentors. And so what I truly believe is that they are in the same space. They ultimately want to see you get to the next level. The biggest difference I see is that a coach typically has the plan, the mentor has the experience. And so whether or not you're looking for the plans and the step-by-step, you seek a coach or a trainer. If you are looking for the experience and to understand what it took through that trial and error, that typically will come from a mentor. So our goal, though, in these early stages is to define what that coach looks like in your life, what a mentor looks like in your life, and how you can continue to nurture those relationships. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this other angle because I'm having fun with this podcast. So don't mind me. Oh, it's not going to allow me to switch. I think it only allows me to do that when I'm doing a pre-show. So I'm not going to switch. I'm going to keep this view. And we're going to wrap this up here in just a second. The one thing I really love about this day and really pushing this podcast today is it's Father's Day. It is June 15th, 2025. I am in my office, which, I'm in my office where I spend a majority of my time being a leader at a pretty big company. Let's just say that. And I've been a leader for on and off for the last 5 years for this company and a previous company. And I've learned a number of things because it's kind of like tapping into the space or, going into one of those speakeasies where you see that, in plain sight, it looks, normal, but when you get access to the room, you often find that there are things that you can learn, but also things that you can share, because the journey that you're on is also the journey that someone else can be on. And if you share your experience, you share that with them, I promise you they'll get there not only faster, but they'll appreciate you along the journey. Okay. So, um, man, I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I've really wanted to do podcasts a lot over the years. I've tried it with a few folks. I've done some co-hosting. I've done some shows, and I really didn't want to put myself out there and put that pressure on myself to start a podcast by myself. And the reason being is because, often you struggle with that confidence. But over the years and the trainings that I put in place, especially this last week of understanding the value of putting a podcast in place, I've coached my son over the years. And, as I learned that coaching and that volunteering that time, it was definitely helpful for his growth. I saw how impactful it was for his team. I saw how impactful it was, in my first year of coaching, and seeing those kids who are now probably 14 or 15 right now, and to see that transformation, or to see that growth over time, but how much I played a huge part into them being who they are today. Starting out with a little bit of confidence, starting out with a little bit of courage to get into sports, to get into organized sports, to start to work with other individuals outside of the classroom, right? And we always say that sports resonates really, really well with the workplace, because you're often working with people. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And I find that sometimes I focus too heavy on my my strengths as opposed to my weaknesses. But in this season, I've been really trying to improve my weaknesses. And my weaknesses here is the fact that I was very nervous about starting this podcast, not necessarily knowing what to say. And I'll kid you not, I don't have a script right now. I put some stuff into ChatGPT. I was like, hey, I want to work on this. I want to say this. But I decided to go live because there's no better reality than being as real as you possibly can, not only on this microphone, but also on this camera. And I've had a really awesome and amazing Father's Day. I'm really looking forward to sharing more with fathers, with young professionals, young adults, but most importantly, those people that are seeking to improve their life. And if you like the sound of my voice, I also want you to support this podcast. Also, if you've met me before, you know that I really have a big heart towards helping people. And so this is going to be that avenue. And I'm really excited. Hopefully you can hear me smiling through the microphone if you're not watching this video, but I hope you hear me smiling, that this is going to be an amazing journey that we're going to share with each other. I look forward to hearing these stories as well, and how much that can influence and impact my life, as well as my family's life, the kids in which we are raising and looking to get them to this next stage in their life. And, I think we talk a lot about AI, but, we also don't talk about how AI will influence this next generation. So my hope is that I'll bring some coaches on, some AI coaches, or some coaches who are using AI, on how they're really starting to see the next wave of technology take advantage, and how we can take advantage of that technology within the education of our kids, especially if we see that our kids are struggling with certain subjects. And as parents, sometimes we often struggle with those subjects as well. So how can we utilize AI and truly benefit the next generation? So you'll hear it here first, that I want to see people be better, do better, and be better. So whether it is talking about the Word of Coaching podcast, or another podcast that I focus on that's a little bit geared towards, professional development. This one will be an all-encompassing, but I'm also writing books. And so I also want to share some of the things that we're talking about as far as, connection and sales, and how we tie the two together. I've been in sales for the last 15 years, and one thing that I will tell you that I've learned over the years is that sales is ever evolving. And I'll talk about that on some of the other shows, and as well as in my books. So if you'd like to hear more, you'd like to learn more, please like, subscribe, as well as share this podcast. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.